I think in any form of addiction like marijuana, tobacco, if someone is addicted to it and he's taking it constantly and it's affecting his health and all, then it's addiction.
To me, drug addiction is some kind of an open invitation towards disaster.
Is like alcohol consumption, it's like heroin or marijuana, all these things, those who take, they are all drug addict. Even those who consume tobacco or the cigarettes, they're all from the same lot, as per my understanding.
About drug addiction, there is a dependency that is developed. अब dependency का मतलब क्या होता है कि हमें किसी चीज़ की आदत पड़ जाती है या हम आदी हो जाते हैं नशे के। तो इसमें जब हम सब्सटेंस की बात करते हैं या नशे की बात करते हैं, जो भी जिस भी प्रकार का सब्सटेंस हम ले रहे हैं उसकी हमें आदत पड़ जाती है। हम पहले जितनी मात्रा में ले रहे होते हैं हमें उसका असर होना कम पड़ जाता है और धीरे धीरे हम उसकी डोज या क्वांटिटी बढ़ाने लगते हैं उस सेम फीलिंग के लिए जो हमें एक इनिशियल स्टेज पे आई होती है। तो ऐसे करके हमारी डिपेंडेंसी, क्वांटिटी और उसका जो इन्फ्लुएंस है वो बढ़ता जाता है, जिससे हमारी पर्सनल लाइफ और सोशल लाइफ पे एक नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट हम ऑब्जर्व कर सकते हैं।
Then what happens is even if you want to stop, you are unable to stop. And as a consequence, you start with a very casual one, taking it once, and then subsequently you find that you are hooked and you have to use it again and again. And it's not only, and as you spend more time, then you get into financial disaster, then you start taking loans and you're not giving it back, you lose your friends, you lose your family, so and even your profession you are unable to concentrate, so you lose everything. So it's an open invitation to disaster.
I believe क्योंकि youth को excitement चाहिए, इसलिए they try new things and वो लाइक वैसे भी क्यूरियोसिटी रहती है कि एक बार ट्राई कर लेते हैं, देखते हैं क्या होता है। सो लाइक इसलिए वो पहली बार स्टार्ट करते हैं, अपने फ्रेंड्स वगैरह को किसी को देखते हैं एंड फिर उनकी उसमें बातें होती है बहुत कि हमने ये किया, ये एक्सपीरियंस था। तो वो मेन एक्सपीरियंस करने के लिए कि क्या होता होगा अगर मैं ड्रग अब्यूज़ करूँ तो इसलिए वो उस रास्ते की तरफ चले जाते हैं।
Be a fun way that his friend told him to take it once, ले ले यार, क्या दिक्कत है?
They do it for two different purposes. That's my personal understanding. One is for ecstasy, so they have peer pressure, their friends are taking, so they just want to try. But addiction part, I think, also starts with the stress level that they have and the kind of pressure they face in their daily life, in academics or in social groups. So to avoid that, they find this as an escape mechanism. And I think that leads to the addiction, because once you have started it, then you try to avoid any kind of stressful situation, you don't face it.
Because you are consuming it without knowing the adverse effect of it and replicate what is being seen around.
Because it's a taboo and they don't seek help because of societal pressure. मतलब उन्हें जज होने का बहुत डर होता है और उन्हें पता है कि वो कुछ गलत ऑलरेडी कर चुके हैं, तो फिर वो मतलब देयर इज़ नो अवेयरनेस ऑल्सो दैट वेयर टू सीक हेल्प फ्रॉम और कैसे मदद मांगे लोगों से. सो आई थिंक लैक ऑफ अवेयरनेस इज ऑल्सो अ थिंग.
Well, at least in the early stages, people actually do not even realize that they need help, and by the time they realize they need help, they do not approach, and this is precisely the stigma associated with drug abuse. Also depends on their peer group. It's also possible that they don't even have the knowledge that there's a possibility of support and they should approach that. Maybe they'll just keep on ruining their lives not knowing that there's hope for help.
Because this is something which is considered mostly bad, especially in the context of Indian society, and even if we as a person who consumes drugs, we think that it is not going to harm me, or it is something which I am taking for short term, and maybe in long term I can get away with it, so I don't have to tell to people around me. And then of course means I have always a hesitation to tell to our family members, to our friends and other people around that I do take these things. At the end of the day, we all know that it is going to affect our future and present.
उनके मन में एक फियर होता है कि मेडिकल वाले उनको कुछ ऐसा करेंगे जिससे एक तो उनका नशा, चूँकि एडिक्शन होती है तो एडिक्शन छूट जाएगी, और साथ में वो उसको छोड़ के दूसरे एडिक्शन के बारे में चले जाएंगे.
सबसे पहला तो ये है कि उन्हें डर है सोसाइटी में जजमेंट्स का, कि लोग जज करेंगे कि उनको कोई इशू है, और दूसरी चीज़ है वो नशे के लिए इतना एडिक्टेड होते हैं कि वो छोड़ना भी नहीं चाहते, तो वो अपने हेल्थ को कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ कर रहे हैं उसके लिए।
See, most people, they are very good citizens when they start. Everybody is good. And then once they get hooked, and then it is even possible that they are even caught or whatever. So it becomes very difficult for them to tell their parents or to tell their friends that they are addicted and they are in a problem. So they try to avoid. And they get more and more into that hole, and subsequently it becomes unmanageable.
Definitely, yes, there is a stigma associated with it, which is why, in fact, even if a person unfortunately gets into drug addiction, he or she is not able to sort of free themselves sooner than we wish.
Media has normalized drugs and taking drugs. Bollywood, social media, Instagram, they have normalized taking drugs and all.
बेसिकली बॉलीवुड एंड जो मीडिया है इसने नॉर्मलाइज बहुत कर दिया है। आप हर किसी मूवी में, हर किसी वेब सीरीज़ में आप देखते हैं ड्रग अब्यूज़ के बारे में बताया जाता है, बच्चों को दिखाया जाता है टीनेजर्स को यूज़ करते हुए, तो उनको लगता है कि ठीक है एक बार तो कर ही सकते हैं, तो उसका एक बहुत ज़्यादा इफेक्ट है।
Nowadays most of the movies are focusing on drug abuse and violence. If you see latest movies, even Animal, and then you come back to Kabir Singh, then fashion movies in 2008, it is not just the new latest thing happening, but it's just the awareness that we are creating as on date, but these are impacting them mentally as well as physically. We have seen many cases where people, especially the youth of India, they are into overdose of drugs and they have lost their lives in it. So it's not something to be joked about, or it is something to be taken lightly. It is a very severe and a very serious matter. And what I feel is movies are actually promoting all these kind of cultures in the society.
Basically, it normalizes the use of substance and drugs, and also it glamorizes the use, and it is shown as it's normally socially acceptable behavior. Create awareness, on other side, and on basically the treatment options, or the stigma related to it. It can portray the addiction, the negative impact of addiction in a positive way, so that the society is made aware of it. It reduces stigma related to the drug use, and also maybe create awareness in such a way that people feel empathy towards the people who are actually facing issues of drug.
पहले तो उनको अवेयर करना चाहिए कि जो चीज़ें वो कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं दे आर वेरी हार्मफुल फॉर देम एंड देयर फैमिली ऑल्सो, तो उनको एटलीस्ट रियलाइज़ हो कि जो वो कर रहे हैं गलत है। नेक्स्ट वो इसलिए फिर उनको हम बोल सकते हैं कि तुम खुद ट्राई करो। अगर वो खुद से ऑब्वियसली नहीं कर पाएंगे क्योंकि एडिक्शन हुई है उनको, तो हम उनको बता सकते हैं कि हमारे पास ये फैसिलिटीज़ अवेलेबल हैं to cure them.
So I would very strongly recommend that even if somebody has gotten addicted, I think they should take immediate help to come out of it, and it is possible to come out of it.
Adults who sort of get carried away into this one, which is totally, I would say, quite worrisome thing, and the government of India should now proactively do something to now see that this sort of drug addiction doesn't sort of proliferate and in fact is contained very much.
इंसान किसी संगति में आके उसमें अपने आप को इन्वॉल्व करके अपनी इंडिविजुअल और फैमिली को प्रॉब्लम में डाल देता है, जिससे अगर हम उसे होप और सपोर्ट प्रोवाइड करें तो वो इस कम्प्लेक्सिटी से बाहर आ सकता है.
And when you are talking about the antidote or the remedial part of drug addiction or drug use, then I would like to say that if you are consuming drug, it would be having short-term and long-term consequences. Short-term consequences would be like, example, when you would be intoxicated, memory issues would be there, concentration issues would be there, judgment issues would be there, and all other cognition-related concerns would be there. And when you are talking about long-term consequences, they are largely focused upon to, let's say, lacrimation. आपकी आँख में से पानी आता है, आपके नाक में से पानी बहता है, आपको डायरिया का इशू हो जाता है, शरीर में कंपन होती है और एक तलब होती है। बट जब ये सारी चीज़ें हो रही हैं हमारे साथ, सो व्हाट इज़ द वे आउट? द वे आउट इज़, द बेस्ट वे टू गो अहेड विद दिस इज़ यू रीच आउट टू अ क्लिनिकल साइकोलॉजिस्ट और अ काउंसलर और अ मेडिकल हेल्थ प्रोफेशनल। दे आर गोइंग टू गो अहेड विद, पहले तो वो जो इंटॉक्सिकेशन है आपका, through medicine they are going to deal with it. But again, those who are afraid of going to these people, example medical health professionals, so what is the way out? You can go ahead with few strategies. Example, controlling the craving you are having. So when you control the craving itself, it is going to help you in a positive manner. Example, let's say you got a cue from the outside environment that a person is having alcohol and you have decided to quit the alcohol, but again there is a cue outside, so again delaying it, that okay, I am not going to have it now, let me give it a pause of let's say a day. So what you try to do, आप अपनी बॉडी को प्रिपेयर कर रहे हो उस एक दिन में ना कंज्यूम करने के लिए। सो जैसे जैसे आप टाइम गैप बढ़ाते जाते हैं, आप उस जो रिस्पॉन्स बॉडी डेवलप कर रही है आप उसको डिले करते जा रहे हैं। दिस इज़ वन ऑफ द वेरी गुड मैकेनिज्म जिसको हम बोलते हैं 4Ds की जब हम बात करते हैं। वन ऑफ द पार्ट इज़ यू डिले रिएक्टिंग towards that stimulus, so it helps. And yes, the counselors and the mental health professionals are there to teach you with different strategies and the techniques like motivational interviewing. They motivate you through different steps and different techniques which helps you a lot. See, when you're talking about seeking help, there is a major perspective behind it. Reason being कि पहले तो हमें लग ही नहीं रहा कि हमें ज़रूरत है हेल्प लेने की। वो हमें इसलिए नहीं लग रहा है कि शायद से हमें ये जानकारी है कि यार एक बार ही तो इस्तेमाल में लिया है, 2 ही बार तो लिया है, सिर्फ पार्टीज़ में ही तो मैं लेता हूँ। पर जब वो सब्सटेंस या जो ड्रग मैं ले रही हूँ, कंज्यूम कर रही हूँ, बेशक से 15 दिन के अंतराल में ले रही हूँ या 1 महीने के अंतराल में ले रही हूँ, तो उसका शॉर्ट टर्म इफेक्ट तो आएगा, अच्छा तो तब लगेगा। बट धीरे धीरे अगर मेरे को कोई चीज़ अच्छी लग रही है, अगर मुझे वो चीज़ पसंद आ रही है, तो मैं क्या करूँगी, उसको बार बार कंज्यूम करने की कोशिश करूँगी, तो देन इट इज़ गोइंग टू कन्वर्ट इट इनटू एडिक्शन. So we need to really brainstorm that okay, is it really going to help me out in a long term, and if it is not really going to help me out in a long term, then a basic strategy we can adapt is just go ahead with decisional balance exercise. Balance up your decision that okay, if it is good for me and how it is bad for me. I think this will help you a lot, and yes, you need to reach out to a person who can empathetically listen to you and who can provide you with a solution or a path.